Wait till the next generation. Wait till the next generation. Wait till the next generation.
That's what they've been saying, you
Wait
see.
till the next generation.
Then you'll find your identity.
Wait till the next generation.
We're gonna be ready to take a
Wait till
stand
the next generation.
and take control of the life that's in your hands. All along the road, freedom and democracy, gaining moral strength, wisdom and stability. There's gonna be a victory for the common man, a vast awakening all across the land, all across the land.
Wait till the next generation.
Apathy's gonna be hard to
Wait till the
find.
next generation.
We're gonna select the things that go into our
Wait
mind.
till the next generation.
We're gonna shape our own
Wait
destiny
till the next generation.
and alter the face of history. All along the road, freedom and democracy, gaining moral strength, wisdom and stability. There's gonna be a victory for the common man, a vast awakening all across the land, all across the
Wait
land.
till the next generation.
This I want you to
Wait till the
understand.
next generation.
I ain't gonna,
Wait till the next generation.
cause
This is the next generation, man.
When it's negative, because I like send the other ones to the regular chain of command. You know what I'm saying? So if we're ready, we're going to welcome everybody to our first, the Knitted Souls, which is an affiliate of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Knitted Souls is a 501c3 organization, and again, a vein or artery to our fraternity and the things that we know needs to be done and what we have been doing by going through that process. And in this particular example here today, we had the opportunity to do one of our first forums, and we named it Our Voices Forum because we felt that it would speak to the people, our people, and the inner city. So that's where we are at this time. Do any brothers have any comments? If not, so here's the setup. I'll be reading the questions, and Brother Redding will also be reading questions and everything. Okay, we'll have our timekeeper. One moment, please. Hey, one moment, I'll come back to you. We'll have a timekeeper here, Brother Barrett Walker, and show them what you're going to do, Barrett.
Once the candidates start, we'll 2 minutes. I told them 2 minutes. Once we get to 30 seconds, I turn it over to them. They got 30 seconds before the meeting. For that question.
All right. So what we have, because we try to make this like a somewhat of an informal, formal type thing, you know. Here, we're in a restaurant, but it's not any kind of restaurant. It's a black-owned restaurant, and it's black-owned, not only black-owned, but by a female. So that was our intent. We set it up and planned it like that, and here we are. Brother Campbell will be taking questions on the chat, so we're going to work this out whether or not we want at least to get a couple of questions, but we'll see how we work this out. We'll pose questions as much as we can, and I think that's basically everything. I covered everything. All right now, that's so good. We're opening up right now at this time with candidates for the commissioner position, and I want to make sure I get it correctly. It's the 4th ward, is that correct? North Ward, okay, for the commission, Board of Commissions for the city. Commissioners, that's a very important position, just as important as the mayor's position, generally speaking. So people, you gotta vote. So that's basically it. We're ready. Yes, Brother Campbell.
We're going to open with prayer. Okay.
Building this plane as we fly. That's what someone told me one time in education. So that's what we're doing. So the microphone is right here, and we're going to read it from here with the microphone. It's good with projection, voice projection. Okay, either way, the microphone is right there. After the candidate responds, please pass it to the next one. Everything. Even if you don't like that person, pass it over. 2 minutes. I'm sorry, my bad.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
Of course, you guys have been to several forums before this one, and generally you are allowed to introduce yourself. We're going to do introduction a little bit different. Please state your name and tell us what uniquely qualifies you to be the North Ward Commissioner. In other words, what separates you from the other candidates? Mr. Cook?
First, good evening, everybody. Thank y'all for having this forum. I did have some discussion about it being late, kind of the last one, and I just, like I told the brother here, that I think that, you know, next time y'all do it, y'all will be first, because I think of all the ones we've been through, 2 that I think y'all are most qualified to actually have it and get more impact and deal more with the people in the city, county, elsewhere. So I just like that. Also like the name of this Knitted Souls, you know, I looked at it and I was like, what in the world is this now? You know, but anyway, my name is Gary Cook, and I'm running for this North Ward City Commission seat. And for the people who don't know, it says North Ward, but South, everybody can vote for everybody. You just gotta have 2 North and 2 South. And I'm buried in the middle, so don't let the North Ward stick on you, that you feel like you can't vote for that person because you can't. I think I'm the best qualified. Matter of fact, I know I'm the best qualified because over the 30, 40 years that I've been ripping and running these streets, helping people, late at night phone calls, I never say no. And you know, this young man right here, Mr. Carter, was this little right here with his father doing the drug marches with me, traveling everywhere we go. You know, all the places. And my son, his father was my friend. He said one thing during Martin Luther King parade. He ran out of the line over there. I'm standing on the side to me and hug me and say, my father can see us now. And that's a true statement. Father was a great man, hard working, you know, and he followed me. But I have, of all the candidates that's in this position, that's running against me, there's not one that I can say has ever stepped foot, maybe one. Pee Wee may have went to speak on a coach situation, but nobody has gone to a school that's fight as much as I have. With Ms. Boyd and the Russian crew dealing with kids, dealing with children, even dealing with families. Being a House Authority Commissioner, I've been, you know, doing that for 3 years, and now, of course, I'm off the board now. because I'm not a person that you can control. You know, when the kids got kicked out of school in Needwood, I raised every penny. Sherman gave me money to the lawyer. Everybody, anybody that checked me, they wrote it to the lawyer. So I've been fighting this battle a long time. You know, and I believe when I was doing the drug marches and education, it was important for families, you know, to be able to have some vision to see what's going on. But I'm the best because I never stop fighting. I'm fighting as today. You know, and it's not about me getting up there and getting a pat cook as a commissioner. It ain't about that. It's that I know some things that can be done that has not been getting done, and I know I can get it done.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. All right, well, my name is Ernest Mccarrell. I'm running for the North Ward City, and I think I'm the best candidate for. I have done a lot of the same things Mr. Cook has, but I was a little ahead of Mr. Cook in doing these things. I went numerous of times that night. I put families in homes and put families in hotels, motels, when they didn't have places to live. But I am a visionary person. I believe in looking toward the future. I believe in helping that person to help themselves. And we can do this job with ease because we watch around us that everybody seems to be prospering, but our nationality, because we don't know how. We're being blindly led, and no one has told us how that we should get this job done. We just say we need to get it done, and we look at each other, no one gets it done. Well, I'm different in that perspective. I worked there 38 years for a corporation that taught us mainly how to get it done, taught us what it means to be out in the community and help your community strive to a better position in what they are right now. So this is why I'm running, this is why I say to you, people in the city of Brunswick and beyond, that we can get it done. I can get it done. We can march forth down the road of prosperity together. So this is what it's all about to who is going to be prosperous, and we can team up and we all can be prosperous. We can step up on the field of prosperity and we can do that which needs to be done. We cannot no longer sit around and wait on someone else to hand us something in a basket. Now we can own the basket. So let's take advantage of that. Give me the opportunity, elect me for your commissioner, and I can show you what that can be done.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Okay. Our next question to the candidates. Recreation and the role of recreation in the city is a hot button issue for many voters. A twofold question we're going to present to you. Please share what is your vision of the role of recreation in the city, and how would you fund that vision?
Okay? Recreation to me is a major thing that we should do in the city. And funding it is going to be difficult because we have given away so much, and we have so little now to work with in funding the recreation. I think that by creativity of new jobs and that we can fund the recreation department, we must have creativity of more jobs. The current way that we are, we're not going to be able to fund it. It's just almost impossible. But by creating new jobs, higher paying jobs. I mean, the mom and pops are great, but I believe in industry. I believe in that we must bring new environmental safe industry, a friendly industry into this community. And by doing so, we can fund anything that we chose to. Because industry brings in more jobs, more taxes, and that means that we can fund more things to get done. This is what we do, and I'm a product of the recreation department. I've been there, and I've done that, and I've been in the high school, but I've done that. And I know that funding is a major problem that will help, more jobs that will help. So this is what I think that should happen in the industry world. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, and thank you for that question. Recreation. I've been fighting this recreation for a long time. I know a lot of people say they have, and I have not been fighting it to bring the recreation back to College Park, just to say to bring it back. You know, because funding, you gotta have plans, you gotta have programs, you gotta have funding for it. And the other thing is, I spoke 2 times with Longshoreman President. I also spoke with, Mr. Allen down at Ballhead and also spoke to someone from the hospital and talked to some more businesses. They're willing to fund all the sports. But what I wanted from them, and I gave it to the city manager, gave the numbers that they'll be talking, is them to be partnerships. I think that International Longshoremen can be partners and make that program great. A lot of times when we talk about recreation, we just talk about what's for the kids. And we say our kids can't go out in the county. I'm trying, as a family, as another brother, another family, why can't we take another kid in the county? Not saying we have to, not saying we can't get our recreation back, but anybody in this room, I think, need to be honest. And that's why you gotta have a plan. What was the condition of the recreation department when the county got it? Why was that the first thing we agreed to give them? We gotta realize that. So don't just say we want it back, and cause our kids can't play sports, our kids can't have sports, but we gotta be able to have softball for co-ed, softball for adults, stuff for families and parents, so kids can go out with the parents and the parents can go out with the kids as well, and they all can have some fun as a recreation. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Culbreath talked about business and industry, which leads us to the next question. Major business industries have voiced concerns about the relocation to the city of Brunswick, given the perceived image of an inadequate prepared workforce. What role would a cooperative relationship with the local education community play in the elimination of that misperception? Mr. Cook?
Yes, good evening. I think, dealing with big corporations coming in the city of Brunswick, for me, there's no place in this directly in the city of Brunswick for big corporations. Right now we deal with, downtown development, we deal with all kinds of corporations. You look at every sign that's on the interstate that has the golden hour, they remove Brunswick from it. The only thing I heard with Brunswick is when they said that the ship was about to leave and Brunswick gonna miss it. It's the only time negative stuff that they put on Brunswick. So far as education-wise, we know we have a bunch of education. We know we have smart kids. The opportunity is that we always have to have our kids go be the best. You may have to leave here and get a great job and come back here. So maybe open your own business, but for as big corporations like Hercules and Buckner that these guys worked at for 30, 40 years, there's no place for them in the city. So, I understand what the perception about, nobody want to come here, nobody want to open up a big business, but there's no space for a big business directly in the city of Brunswick for our children to work in.
Thank you, Mr. Culbreath.
I worked for many years with big business, and I disagree as there's no place that is a big place in the city limits for big business in Brunswick. We just have not yet located. I have located one area that can bring in a lot of college. I have gotten into an enormous amount of fights with Georgia Port Authority about this location. I've had meetings with the congressman, with our representative about the same area that we have right here, right now, that they know that it can produce business. By producing those one areas, we're gonna have to move outward. As far as the training of our kids, yes, we have some places here that train kids and get electrical and technical and all these other things. These things are important to industry. They look at that. They look at, can you give us a person that we can put in charge of a millions of dollars worth of equipment and not destroy it? So this is what, yes, we can. We have the facility to train them. Yes, we have the bodies that we can put in those facilities and get them trained and get them ready for this big business. Big business could be a numerous of things. I mean, we have the best industry going today, one of them in the world. We have the Georgia white shrimp. The shrimp industry is big, it's enormous in the whole world. There's no place in the world that eat more shrimp than the United States of America. And we have the best in the world. Bar none. Yes, we have an island that we can convert into a business. We don't need no more hospitality because they're like 8 months job. We need industry that is a year-round, a 75-year to 100-year job. And these kids that we have here that has been trained that can be placed into these industries. This is what industry is looking for. Yes, we may go outside the city limits. We have sites now that's ready that can be developed. So let's think. If we train our kids, if we get the industry that's coming this way and put those industries in these locations, and our kids are there, what would we be today? We would have a better Brunswick. We would have a better kid. We would have a better everything. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
At least I'll have 30 seconds for photos.
Well, Mr. Cook, that's something we'll consider in the future. I would encourage people to do that in their closing remarks too.
Yes, sir.
So we'll give you more ample time. So with that said, and speaking of industry and our productive education system, it says, voices speak out in today's society for diversity. Many believe that diversity leads to greater inclusion and consequently greater progress and community development. Which is more relevant to overall progress, economic diversity or social diversity? I believe Mr. Cook, you will start that off. You have 2 minutes.
Well, I think both of them are important, but social diversity I think is very important because I think the more you network, and I think the more you can actually get going and get opportunities. And so dealing with that, in education, because for me it's like prime example, and I'm gonna have to go back, and I'm not dodging this question, is that when you speak about jobs and trades and education and all this type of stuff, you have to make sure that you get out and fight for your children and for yourself. Because sitting there listening to this, I remember 2 questions, 2 examples. One is Mr. Redding not getting out of that regular job at the school by 1 vote. The other is not getting an opportunity, Mr. Davis at the chief of police job at the city by 1 vote. And of course it wasn't a white vote that caused these positions, but those brothers were strong enough to move on. So I think the social diversity is great, and I think it's more, more better for me, than economic part. You need economic, but a lot of times when you get to it and you can work yourself and educate yourself, you always try to get educated yourself. You can kick a door in and get the job you want, and then you have that one person, which always us, that will stop us from getting to that point. So I think they're both, great, and we gotta have them, but I think that social part is more privileged to me.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Mr. Goldberg.
Well, I have a different thought on that. I think economically we should be more sound in what we're doing. Well, we have economics, we have a lot of things that's going for us, and socially we can network it all together. So economics to me is the best road that we should take. Because when economics, man, there's a lot that you do, a lot of doors that will be over. Sure, I don't know Mr. Reddings, I know Mr. Davis, but listen, those people who did that to them, whatever reason it may be, so be it. They moved on. It was bigger than that. So let us think economic. We have this economically, we have sound, we have the new jobs, we have industry that is coming, that's economically sound, that will put our our kids through colleges and through all of the type of things. Socially, we can still get together and we can contact with each other. These kids are very smart. Socially, they can get there and they can network with each other, and you'd be amazed at the things that they can do. They can do it greatly. Miss Charlie's son proved the fact. They thought he couldn't be a chief, but he was, and he still is to this day. And you have to take your hat off to that. If someone said you can't do something, he did it. But you go back to economics. Economically, we must be sound, and socially, it will bring itself along with the economics. So thank you for that.
All right, thank you, sir. Next question. Knowing that voter turnout has traditionally been low in Brunswick, what have you been doing during your campaign to encourage citizens to vote? Over.
You know, it's hard, and you know, you talk to the families and you talk to the individual, because individually, that is what's going to happen. Each person individually is going to vote. You try to convince that person. I go out, I talk, I go to these different neighborhoods, we talk, and we try to get them out to vote, showing them why it is important to vote. You know, who you vote for is your business, but vote. That is the most important thing. You must go vote. And we talk. I run here different places, here and there, talking to each and every one of them, trying to get them to understand the importance about voting and why you voted and who you voted for. So I try to convince them, say, hey, vote for me. If you don't vote for me, vote for the person that you chose over me. But all I want you to do is vote. It is very important. It's one of the most important things we have to do. There's a lot of blood on this. So people, that's what I try to do. We want to show them the importance of it and why we got to this point. And that we should have a continuation of voting. Thank you.
Well, you know, before this, and since this, you know, I've been registering people, you know, to vote, and actually have it on my computer, I stop people, you know, around the liquor store, even when they come in there, like, you register to vote? No, man, I'm a convicted felon. I said, let's put it in there and let's see. And oh, they go, you're able to register, you're a convicted felon, he's able to register. And so that, you know, been doing that for years and years, because like I said, all that is on my computer. But doing this time, you know, I'm having to take some days off because just going, seems like everywhere you go, knock on the door, it's great that every voter got a conversation for you. You know, and some of them is easier than others, going through, might know your park and different areas, you know, just walked up when you go on Riverside, and when you go behind the house with them long driveway, and everybody got the tails way up here to go to. You know, but like I said, where I work and me and Commissioner Brooks were riding around just talking to people about voting. People tend to think I just vote president, I just vote for the governor. I say, hey, hold it. You need to learn to vote right here locally. It's very important to you right here. In your community, what's really important. Then you can make a difference, you know, somewhere else. But let's start voting right here. And let's make this difference right here. And I think it kind of comes over a lot that people get to understanding, and they still got that thing that my vote don't count, you know. And I just like, it don't count because you don't vote. You know, so let's get out and vote. I think it takes more than just the candidates. It takes everybody, you know, to get people out to vote, and somebody have to lead. You know, I've always, from this up, when I go vote, I don't ever go vote early. I take my kids, get them out of bed, first grade, kindergarten, and take them to vote with me every time. You know, all of them in college now, or finished college, one in Air Force and one in Georgia, but they always go vote.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cook. This series chatter has been, you notice that the theme of some of the words is speaking to voices speaking, so I use those words to allude to that. But anyway, serious chatter has been uttered by grassroots groups to the federal government level and reciprocated in reference to man's negative impact on the environment of which man is a part of. Climate change is a major issue. The city of Brunswick has seen effects of climate change through hurricanes, tropical storms, floodings, and marsh erosion, to name a few. Do you feel climate change has negatively impacted the city of Brunswick? If so, what alternative solutions do you have to negate or minimize climate change? And can economic opportunities, for example, job creations and employment, occur as a benefit to your plan?
Yeah, I think it, actually impacts the city, I guess not as much as it have, but over the years, it definitely has impacted dealing with, the flooding and the storm draining and the storm, you take Magnolia Park, College Park, Riverside, Southside, a lot of places just constantly flood, from storms and the stuff is backed up, we have sewage that actually backs up. A lot of times people notice that you see the little flakes that flies around in the air. It's actually from the sanitation, department doing day cleaning and then doing storms. But I think that it's not enough job to work in these programs, dealing with, DNR and different people, they don't let you do certain things at the drain point at the marsh with the weed and certain grass right there. They won't even let you move it. So they have a lot to do with stuff backing up. And that has a lot as well, back with a lot of the plants, with the electric vehicles. I think would help a lot, as well as when he was talking about these places with all these plants and plants, we got to make sure they're safe, because that affects the environment a lot. A lot of people you see work at them all these years, when they get 50, 60, they sick, they real sick. And so I think it impacted, but I think that dealing with that, I don't actually directly have a plan. But I think that things like that, I would like to get in and sit down with the city manager, push it to the point to the legislators that they will actually see how to fund and what's best for the city. And actually, you work with other counties that's around you to try to get it done, because the city has a serious problem with this storm thing. That's because they don't enforce the rules that they have on the books about it. So, but I think that's what has happened. I have to sit down with the city manager, I have to sit down with engineers, and sit down with the state and actually see just what best and how can you fund these things.
When it comes to how our water system affects the city of Brunswick, what can we do to deter such erosion in the marshlands? What can we do? I mean, the marshland has always eroded. Some of these things are a natural occurrence that we cannot do anything about. And we have to let it take place, because that is what it does. And for us, we look at flooding and how it flooded. Ever since I was a youngster, back in the early 60s, some of you guys up there, we always had flooding. It always good that when it rained, trillions of gallons of water on the city of Brunswick, we had a problem with flooding. It has been that way because the ground can only absorb so much. When the tide is high, we got major flooding. We have to wait until the tide recedes. We are below sea level. That's one of the problems that we have. And our forefathers didn't see enough that they put big, large enough pipes in the ground so that the water can be held underground instead of on top of the ground. Now that we are in the point that we have all kind of rules and regulations that we have put in place. We said, well, that's going to happen. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you that, these things that we have here for the flood, our drainage ditches and things of this nature are not being kept up so that we have a problem every time it rains. Magnolia Park, you throw these styrofoam cups in. Look at these drain holes that you ride down downtown. Look at the massive size of that drain hole. I mean, it's not catching the debris that it should. They're allowing it to go, and you allow it to cause this becoming flooding. So I came up with a plan and with a device that would stop that. And I talked to the city manager about it. I talked with the mayor about it. Look, we have to do something. And we have to have another vacuum machine that we can go around and suck up some of this stuff out of the drains, and so that we can keep the flooding down. So it's a really tough thing, and the state they don't have an answer. None of them have an answer. Engineers, I work with engineers constantly when I was at the plant. They didn't have an answer to it. They said, well, coming in from the city, being recorded out of streams, and we digging it out as fast as we can, and it's coming in a lot faster. So it really is no real threat to try to maintain and keep the steadiness that we have and not sink back into this that we don't do anything. Or we have to do something, and it's something else that, yes, we need another vacuum machine going on and help suck out some of these drains and keep these spaces clean. And if we put in the design that I came in, we have a lot less problem because the drains will be kept open. And that's what you need, keep your water out, is keep it open, and we just still have to wait on the time to check. And it's just an act of nature. You can say what you want, but it is an act of nature. The real low sea level is just an act of nature. Thank you.
All right, next question. The law enforcement community has been besieged in communities throughout the nation, as well as Brunswick. Voices in the police profession attribute some policing issues at core to insufficient officer numbers. What actions do you think will help to recruit and retain outstanding men and women to the police profession in Brunswick?
Okay. You know, I talked with city manager about a month or so ago about the same problem. What are we doing to recruit? How are we helping our officers stay here instead of training them and they go elsewhere? What is that different to make us different from Camden County, make us different from Brantley County, what make us different from McIntosh County, or Wayne County? What is that we have? We have nothing. I said, what you mean we have nothing? What do you plan on doing to keep your officer here? You want to continue to train them, let them run to the county for $2 an hour or more raise? Or what can you do when they have nothing? So I introduced a plan. Look, let's offer them better housing. Let's do that. Let's take the police department and we can take the nurses, they all make pretty good, except for the police to me are underpaid. And over we're going to get their pay up, it's going to take better industry. More industry raises the pay. But we need to take and look at the housing situation that they are in, substandard housing. We need to put them in better housing. I say new housing. Man, I'm getting ready to build a house as we speak for the police department. I also have given the city of Brunswick 3 grants in which they turn right back around and wouldn't apply for. And to me, that's the most ludicrous thing that you could have done. Not apply. And that would have helped the police department keep the personnel that they had right there, so they didn't do it. So they missed out on a great opportunity. And now when we're looking around, so what you going to do? They're going to do absolutely nothing as it stands as today. I say, let's take and give them better housing and try to up their pay level so that we can match the county, match the area pay. And we can do these things and help them. It's better that we have the police because they're going to help us. Right? All y'all, none of y'all have faced, I don't know all of y'all, but faced with somebody crook, somebody come along and got you picked up or trying to rob you. This thing is supposed to show up. So they have to be commended for what the job that they do for the pay that they're receiving. So we need to do a better job of keeping them here, showing them a little love by giving them better housing. Okay, thank you.
That's a bad question for me. Police really don't deal with me, it's a bad question. But I answer like this, no lives does matter. It is a human being that goes out and do a job, so their lives matter just like black lives and other lives matter. this is the point. I always hear, and I discuss with people, always hear about money, 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 money. It got so bad in the city that the police was going, getting open records of all, everybody payroll. They was looking to see who was making what. But I think all of them forgot the oath that they took to a point. Sure, you gotta be paid for your job, but you took an oath when you got certified. You took an oath first before you even came to Brunswick. But see, it's not about the money. People keep discussing money. Oh yeah, they deserve to be paid. But in the city of Brunswick, it's not about the money, because this been this way 24 to 30 officers short for 10 to 12 years. This been going on forever. This is nothing new. And a lot of officers, soon they get in, they leave, they see some of the supervisor morale, the morale is bad, and they see the supervisor and they want out. And it's not because of the money. Just now the city police let some officers take cars home because they say one officer was living in Folsom and went to the sheriff department in county. It's just closer to them, a better department, maybe not. But it's not that you can say, okay, well now you take cars home. I think, I'm not against the police, but I think that somebody way down the line, you have to make, them do the job, and sure, pay them good. But when one doing something wrong, the next one has got to stand up and tell them, and I mean, snitch on them if you know what you want to say, but you have to have a good department, and you have to make sure you pay them, but you gotta have a good department, and make sure to work for the community as well.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. All right, this right here would be our final question, and then we'll let you all do a summation. All right. So throughout the forum with both candidates, you made allusions to dealing with your staff and including the staff. So the question would be, as a potential commissioner, so the basic question is this: what role would the city manager play in your vision and the implementation of your prospective policies? So, Mr. Cook.
Yes. We try to understand that. For me, the city manager is the boss. She is director, CEO. I think the commissioners and the mayor has to have a plan, a vision, and a future growth for the city, and you pass that on to the city manager. And that's what the city manager works on. You gotta have a city manager, you gotta have a strong city manager. That the city manager can leave and go bring some fruits back to the city. And she has someone that's protecting the city while she's gone. But, for me, no micromanagement, none of that. That's what's going to happen to every city manager. I think you have a great city manager now. And I think that everybody's going by the charter. And I've heard one commissioner on the stand in the commission meeting say, well, sometimes you have to go against the charter. I'm like, when do you ever go against the charter? That's why we in the vote. But the city manager is the CEO. She operates everything. And you put that vision out there and you let her have it. You don't go to departments. I've seen a lot of people go to commissions or go to the mayor talking about my job and all this stuff. It's a field process. You don't even discuss that with them. You tell them, go to the front, use the process, chain of command. Don't come to me. And I think the whole city would be great, and we can move forward if, in fact, you let the city manager do her job. You just put that vision out there and operate up under that charter.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Mr. Kohler.
I worked with Hercules Panova, and yes, we had a manager. And yes, that manager's job was to make sure that everything went right, all the policies were obeyed. And so as we would be with the city manager that we have now, that she can make sure that all the policies are obeyed, and that a employee should not come to the commissioner. It should go through the chain of command step. I mean, he was correct in saying that yes, there's a way that you get it done. But then the city manager must be wise enough to understand that what is that employee's problem? Why is it that employee's complaining? Well, it has to be something that's out there that's causing that employee to complain. So we need to, the city manager will need to go out and find out what it's problem. Go through her or whatever she have there in place to go through and find out what is the problem and fix it. She only comes to the commissioners when the problem has gotten that she can't do anything with the policy that is in place for not handling the problem that we have out there. So we have to change the policy sometime to get the problem fixed. So that's what needs to happen. The city manager is just like a big giant light, red light. She handles all the problems. She just stop and go. She do all of these problems. She has an assistant that does that. Should anyway, that should be doing the same thing that she does. When she's not there, when she's not in place, even when she's in place, she should have an assistant. They should work really together and make sure that the city of Brunswick function in the way that it should, according to what the commissioner and the mayor has put out. And she should take whatever they put out and retroactively put it out in the city among the employees. That's what they want done. This is what she should do, and this is what both of them should do. And so this is how it should work. This is how it's always worked with managers. They are the fall person. When they go bad, you don't go look at the employees, you go directly to her. She's the one that's in charge, and she's the person that we should have it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colbert. At this time, as I've stated before, the two panelists will have this opportunity to give a summary of their platform, their positions. It's your free time, but you have 2 minutes, okay? And please, timekeeper, just state time so they can know, all right? Thank you. All right. Mr. Colbert, you can be up.
In my position, I also is simply as this: a visionary, person that looks toward the future, person that looks out for what's going now, taking now, and looking toward the future. We must look toward the future. It's very simple. The future is what we must look into. We must do this, because looking at now and just walking along and crying about few things that someone has done to me. No, we must be bigger than that, and we must look at the future for as economics, jobs. We can do this. We have the means. It is out there. We must look at world trends. We must follow the world trends, and we must adjust accordingly. We just say, oh wow, that's what they're doing, well, we're gonna do this. No, it doesn't work like that. You must follow world trends in order to be successful, and for any city to be successful. And we must do these things, and we must do these things accordingly, and we must do it correctly, and we must boldly go into that future, knowing that our vision is to have a better Brunswick today for tomorrow. We must look out for our kids and make sure that they are very educated in what is going on today and what is going on in the world today. Listen, they're facing a world that's really cruel out there. And it's really things that they should know that they don't know. And it should be job opportunities that they will get that they don't get. But we must let them understand that creativity of jobs is better than looking for a job. When you create a job, you're doing a lot better than what you're doing when you have to work a job. So it is important that we get this message across. The creativity of jobs, and you must do it.
Thank you, Mr. Colbert.
Yes, I thank everyone for being here. I am the best candidate. I've been fighting these streets forever. Out on the drug market, there's so many kids that's running barbershop or a gentleman's now because of me with the back to school haircut program. First one started, and with Mr. Johnson, with Cause of Father, we did a lot. Every time I put on the program, people say, well, where you get your money from? Nowhere. Every program I had, I used to go get Salvation, get food from Wendy's, to get Salvation Army to sit there and serve it. Put the community involved in what we do. But I want to say something quick, and it has nothing to do with not disliking nobody. I went to every meeting about this chief of police in the city of Brunswick. My brother told me not to discuss it. But I have the report cards of all F's, no degree, all F's withdraw failure, but he still got the jobs, all F's. You understand me? So I know what's going on in the city, and I'm not going in to get nobody a job. We're just going in to work with who's there, and let's see what we can get this city to move it forward and be be truthful about what's going on in this city. You know, quickly, let me say this. Also, at the liquor store, you know, this is, somebody came to me, every day he used to pass it just away. Mr. Pastor, I'm passing away at the liquor store. For 5 years, finally I walked out the front door to do something, he come back walking up. I said, what's wrong, man? I got a problem. He said, these lawyers want to charge me $15,000, $20,000 to get my son out of jail with no bond. I said, what time you get off? He said, 3:30. I said, come back. He didn't come back. I went to his house. I said, what's wrong, brother? He said, man, God, did I tell you God sent you to me? I said, let's go. Went to the courthouse, Patrice Locke said, Judge, Mr. Cook back with Pastor. I ain't gonna call his name, and he said, listen, I'm turning your son over to you, and if you get in trouble, it's on Mr. Cook. That is favor. That's what I do because of vision. Thank you.
We'd like to thank the candidates for commissioner, and of course you all, please vote. It's very important. Your roles are equally as important as that of the mayor, so please vote, and please carefully dissect what the candidates have said and make the choice that you feel will lead to the development and progress of the city of Brunswick. So that concludes the commissioner portion of our forum, and yes.
Let's give them all a round of applause.
Yes. Thank you. It's not easy serving. It really isn't. So with that said, we'll start the mayoral candidates in a few minutes, because of course we have to do the logistics such as setting up and things like that. So y'all give us a few minutes. Are we at our point for
So pick the right person that can work with your mayor candidate.
which allows us, Knit Souls, to do a number of things in the community, such as not only to contribute dollars and also mentorship programs and everything to the community, but also to put on a program such as this. This is our first one, and so we're working out kinks. As I stated moments ago, an hour earlier, is that I'm coming out of the field of education, so, and law enforcement too, but I like education more, because if you do education, you won't have to have law enforcement at the rate that we do. But nevertheless, there was this one teacher who said, well, we're building the plane as we fly. And so that's what we're doing tonight. And so you all work with us. If you have any critiquing, and I said, you know, I think that worked before, so I'm going to use it again. If you have any negative critique, you take it to the big brother right here, Keith Redding, and everything. He has some big hands to receive those things, so you know. But anyway, it's a pleasure to do this. This is our first opportunity, as I said. Me and Brother Redding questions, and you all have attended forums, and you know how the format goes. If we have to adjust as we go, we will make it, and if there's any confusion, we will deconfuse, all right? Brother Walker, he's our timekeeper, and he'll announce, what, 2 minutes? He'll show 2 minutes?
30 seconds.
For 30 seconds, and then, of course, each candidate has 2 minutes to respond. By the time we get to the 30 seconds, he'll let you know at that point. And when your time is up, he will say, time. Time. Right? So he will verbalize that. He will voice that, because this is our voices forum. Because it's going to speak to the people. And we hope these questions, the question that came from the people, which, you know, we have a pulse on that. Brother Campbell will be looking at chat questions. So if we find some unusual question for the chat, my chat crew, you gotta let us know that so we can stop what we are doing here. We hope to get through at least 4 or 5 questions, because there are more candidates, you know, than initially confirmed. But hey, we don't make it top 5, so we're always ready. We're ever ready. Manhood. So that's our beginning start. So with that said, I think everybody's ready. Our photographers and everybody, you know, cinematologists, I hope I said that word right. Everybody's ready. Everybody's pretty and handsome what he is. So y'all ready? We good, Brother Mark? All right, let's roll.
All right, as in the other forums you've been here, we'll ask a single question and give each candidate an opportunity to answer that question. First question. In the forums that you've been to previously, you've been given an opportunity to introduce yourself and state your initial platform. We'll do it a little bit differently tonight. I would like you to state your name and then tell us what makes you uniquely qualified to be the mayor of Brunswick. In other words, what separates you from the other candidates? And we'll start with the senior.
My name is Ann Senior. I want to be able to give our city a voice. I know that our politicians, our commissioners, and our mayor and our city manager have worked hard in these last 4 years. And they've accomplished some things. And there's a lot of things still on the table that they need to do. But it's time for all of us to come together as a community and to voice our opinions and to let them be heard and to let them know that they need to be on the table as well. You know, my big thing is our kids. We have very little for our kids in the city limits. I wish that our government would open up some internships for our kids to go in and work and let them get their foot in the door so that if they don't want to go to college, they can at least kind of know where they're going. And I'm not talking about the straight A kids who got all the scholarships handed to them. I'm talking about the B, C, D students who need that step up. So I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother, and I'm going to fight for this city.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
I want to first off say thank you to Ambassador Richardson for giving us the opportunity. Thank you to, he's my deacon Reddy, but also a state delegate for Georgia for Omega Psi Phi. We want to thank him for his leadership, and also thank the fraternity for giving rides to the polls, being engaged, and being a part of this community. What best says why I should be your next mayor? The reason I should be your next mayor is because having a prepared mayor day one matters. There are too many issues that are before the city, whether it's the conversations of lost and splost discussions and ensuring our city gets a fair and equitable split, to also ensuring that we rebuild and refund and really maturate a real Parks and Rec department that not only speaks to our children, but speaks to people of every age. Not only talks about football and basketball, but talks about piano and dance, and really fills out the entirety of our community. Having people have real conversations about how to bring resources to our city matters. There are a lot of people who come before you and they may act like they are ordained somehow by people in the city. Well, I will tell you, no one has tapped me on my head to tell me I should be the mayor. God has not come down on high to tell me I'm better than anyone else I'm running against. I chose to do this, and because I chose to do this, I chose to work definitely as hard as I can to be prepared. And maybe to many that sounds like a politician. But I gotta be honest with you, that is not at all a politician. That is someone who cares so deeply about where they were born and raised. They care so deeply about Magnolia Park because I was born on 2218 Formosa Circle. I care deeply about College Park because that's where my friends grew up. So when we talk about rebuilding infrastructure, when we talk about changing the city for the better, I might be the politician in the race. But I'm also the person who has worked the hardest to be prepared for you.
Thank you, Mr. Riddle.
Good evening, good evening. My name is Travis Riddle, Brunswick native. I want to thank everybody for having me for. And the reason I feel like I'm best fit to be the mayor of the city, I'm definitely, and I said it a million times, I'm definitely not a politician. I'm a citizen of Brunswick that came up from Brunswick, survived through Brunswick, and made a great life for myself in Brunswick. And return back home to bring more people out of the village of East as I made it. I want to be that mayor that gives you a fishing pole and not a fish. I want you to be able to feed yourself when you want to and not come begging me for my table, but let me allow you to build your own table. I want to be a mayor that's going to be fair. We have a lot of mayors in the commission that's not understanding that we take this job or apply for the job. A mayor of Brunswick, Georgia makes $1,500 a month. That's what I'm going to do my job for. I'm not asking for nothing extra or no extra favor. I want you to have an opportunity for you to feed your family. I want to be that mayor that you can come to, and I can talk to you, and you can talk to me. I've been out campaigning in areas that people overlook. I'm in the projects. I'm in the low-income areas. Because those people have dreams, and they need the opportunity to fulfill their dreams without being part of the big, good old boy system. Let's say that. I just want to be the one that gives everybody an opportunity, especially the people that don't have financial things to give me or favoritism to give me, but just the people that have opportunity that can receive that opportunity and say thank you. I want to be that voice for the people that scared to speak for themselves. As you know me since I've been here, I've been fighting for the injustice of the city and building the city from the ground up. Money don't faze me, people faze me. I want to see everybody have opportunity to fulfill their dreams and feed their family. Again, my name is Travis Wilson. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Helen Watson. Thank you for having us here today. Brothers, although maybe stop by, I have seen what you have done in our community. You have been our mentors. You have been our coaches. You have done so many things and have taken us to the polls. And I thank you all so much for what you have done in our community. What makes me uniquely prepared? Because I'm prepared to serve. No leader is a leader if they are not willing to serve. Serve the people in which they say that they are coming to represent. Here in the city of Brunswick, I have heard of the haves and the have-nots. I have seen people come, I have seen people return. Yet I have remained in the thick of it because I am the city. Can I say that I'm ordained? No. Can I say that I have been asked? Yes. Because the works that I have done speak for me. I believe that we should have programs not only for our children, but for our adults as well. Because if we give to our children and send them back home to an environment that is not conducive for their growth, what are we doing? We're starting from scratch every single day. So what makes me unique? I am you. I am the city. And when I say this, I am not saying this from a demographically drenched rhetoric. I say this from the opportunities that have been afforded to me by those who have sat in the highest of seats and have sat in the lowest of streets. And so I am here to represent and serve the people of my community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
First of all, let me say thank you to our organizers for giving us this opportunity to share with those of you
that have shown up to hear what we have to say. Each of the candidates that are running for mayor have done an outstanding job. Each of these men and women have shown in different ways what makes them unique and what they can bring to the table. And honestly, I believe that most of our candidates would do a good job. But what we got to ask ourselves is, who is the leader that's right for this moment? Over and over again, I've been saying to our community that I am the right choice for this moment, because the idea of building a community without using community is absurd. We hear people talking about ideas and concepts. We hear people talking about relationships, state relationships, and yes, they have a part to play in the process of growing community. But you don't build local community without bringing community together. And of all of our candidates, I'm the candidate that has worked over and over again to bring our community together. And if we're gonna survive, thrive, and be everything that we're called to be as a community, we have to learn, first of all, how to be community. That doesn't just mean being a black community. That means being a community holistically. One of the things that has kept us back historically, as you look at our leadership makeup over the years, is that we've had the inability to come together as a community. Our leaders have been divided. Well, it's time that we come together so that we can be the city that we know that we have the potential to be, and I have the ability to bring our community together. Thank you for your time.
Sir? Mr. Williams?
Good afternoon. Thank you to the brothers of Omega Psi Phi for putting this forum on. You all know I'm currently serving as commissioner. For the past 8 years, I've worked hard to make sure that our city is on the right financial path. When we got in office, the city of Brunswick was taking out tax anticipation notes to make their payroll. Today, we have a surplus. We want to continue to keep the city going in the direction that it's going and moving it forward. We have paved many streets. We've done a lot of infrastructure work. Mansfield, we're currently working right back here at Magnolia Park, and that project is getting ready to wrap up soon. Hopefully by the spring of next year, that project will be complete. We're looking at already College Park, one of the areas that, in this particular area, that is flooded often. And a lot of people say, well, you don't live there. Well, I have family live there. My sister lives there and her family. And I got other family members that live there. And it's important to me that we make sure that we take care of all of our community. Not just Riverside or not just the south end of Brunswick, but that all of Brunswick is taken care of. So that's where I stand, that's who I am, and I'll continue to work for you if you give me the opportunity. God bless you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Voices have spoken of the need for public transportation within the city. These are voices. Especially for the working class who is challenged with traveling around the city with limited viable personal vehicles, exorbitantly high cost of fuel, and mandated auto insurances, and insufficient minimum wage job payment. Do you see public transportation as a viable transportation option to move the city's citizens? And secondly, if so, what plan of action would you initiate to implement a city transportation system and specifically fund that system? Mr. Johnson.
No, I think this is a vital question right now. Transportation in our city is definitely of the utmost importance, and I want to name a couple of reasons why. Number one, our job centers and how we're moving people to be able to get to well-paid jobs, whether those jobs are operated out in the county, whether those jobs are operated on the island, or whether those jobs are operated here in Brunswick. We want to make sure that people have safe, reliable transportation to do that. The second truly is focusing on our senior citizen community. When you have a senior citizen community that doesn't have viable transportation to move from doctor's appointments to grocery stores or back to where they they stay, then we're really trapping senior citizens in their homes. So the city has to go to work on it, and how I view it is a little bit different than others maybe up here. I personally think it has to be done in a public-private partnership. It is not something that the city or the county can take on holistically. Why? When you talk about 2 buses, 3 buses, 4 buses, how many ever buses you want to come up with, you're also talking about staff, you're talking about pension payments, and you're talking about things that hit the tax rolls in a real way. And for a city who has a 13+ point tax rate, and also are taxed doubly, so we're taxing the city and taxing the county, we don't want to add more to the tax rolls that we can't handle. So what we have to do is immediately focus on the job centers in Brunswick that are already moving people. You got Sea Island moving people, you got the port moving people, you got Rich CPAC moving people. We have to partner with those businesses, find out how they are moving people, where they're moving people throughout our city, partner with them to undergird that transportation and open that transportation up widely to the public. So you could have something that will move you from the south side to the mall, to the island, and throughout the county. But those dollars will be being paid for not only by the city, not only by the county, but also by private companies who are already doing so.
I definitely think we need city transportation. And I'm not exactly sure the dollar amount, but I do know the city just received a grant to start a city transportation. And once that money is gone, we have to find a way to maintain it. Me as a mayor, I want to make sure every dime in that grant is used for city transportation. The city got a bad habit of using money for what they want to use it for. We need to use it what it was sent to us for. I was talking with a representative of the city the other day, and I think the city transportation needs to go through the projects, the urban community. We need to reach out to Jacob Island Authority. We need to reach out to Sea Island so the people that don't have transportation have transportation to get to the jobs, get to Walmart, get to the grocery store, like Mr. Crosby said, get the senior citizens to where they need to be. I've seen this happen in Atlanta for years, and it works. I see millionaires ride city transportation. I see people that only got enough to get on the bus ride transportation. Even though Brunswick is not the biggest city, we need to make it so people have the freedom to move around. I definitely think that we need the city transportation. We do have a grant. I just want to make sure that the city use every dime of that grant for what it was sent us for, and that's to build a city transportation, and we get together and figure out how can we maintain it. Yes, we do need city transportation.
City transportation is not anything new. We had it in the 1950s, again in the late 90s, early 2000s. The difference between what happened in the 50s and what happened in the late 90s, early 2000s is that in the 1950s, it actually worked. We not only had a bus transit system, we also had a trolley system as well. We still had the tracks in downtown Brunswick. What happened in the late 90s, early 2000s is that people were not aware of how far they were going to be able to go. They were not aware of the bus stops, and it stopped at a certain time of night. So, can it be done? Yes, it can. But the question right now is, how do we do that? I had the pleasure of speaking with city manager, and they are already in works, city manager, Ms. Regina McDuffie, and they are already planning to bring public transit to our community. The only question is, how are we going to do it? So yes, there is money. Yes, there is grants. Yes, it will talk about pensions, and yes, it will talk about employment. But isn't that what we want anyway? Isn't that what we want to bring to the city? Employment, economics, money coming into the city? I thought that's what we were talking about here. And so, when we open up our opportunities to bring transportation into our city, no matter how we are talking about bringing it in, because there is money there, and yes, we do need to make sure that that money is being spent. But local transportation is going to pay for itself. We just have to make sure that it's effective in all of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain David.
I'm going to be fairly short. When it comes to public transportation, it's something that we definitely need to do. It goes back to my introduction to you all. We do it through partnership. I agree with most of the statements that have been made by other candidates. There has to be meaningful partnerships in the process of making this happen. One of the delays to getting public transportation to the place that we want it to be is bringing those partnerships together. And again, this is going to require leadership that has the ability to be a bridge builder, to bring the proper people to the table so that we can partner to accomplish this particular objective. When we look at the benefit of public transportation, it benefits everyone in our county. It's not just a benefit to the city of Brunswick. And so there are people that are willing to come together and make it happen. And if elected as your mayor, I will work to make sure that we achieve.
Public transportation, one of those subjects that's been on the table for a while. We've started a task force that has already looked into the possibility of public transportation. We've got grants, yes, we've got all those things, but at the end of the day, you gotta make sure that you're gonna do this right, that you finance it right, that it's properly done so that when it's here, that we have the ridership. All of a sudden, if you got buses running around these streets and there's nobody on them, it's gonna cost somebody something. So we gotta make sure that people understand that, yes, we need and we want public transportation, but if we're not gonna use it, then why would we start? So we've been working hard to make sure that we do this correctly, because we only get one shot at it. If we don't get it right this time, I don't think it'll ever come back. But we'll work hard to make sure that we get public transportation moving in the right direction for the city of Brunswick and its citizens.
Thank you. Ms. Senior?
Public transportation has been on the books since I've been here. In the 90s, the state would have different organizations call people and do surveys and say, would you support public transportation? And I'd say every time yes, because at the time I lived out in the country and having public transportation would have been great for my kids to come to the mall, go to the movies, or do whatever. But it is a difficult thing. Nowadays, especially since COVID, people are not going out as much. And I know the seniors don't go to the senior center and they do other things, but a lot of people order their groceries to come to their door. So you really have to look to see if we're going to use it, if it's going to be something, if we could do a trial somewhere, have Jekyll Island, Sea Island, all of them loan us some buses, try something, see if it would work before we just go out there, jump off with both feet, and then we're stuck. So, and as far as grants, we need to keep those grants coming if it's working. But public transportation has been a big issue. Our kids can't get to work, they have to stay in one location. All of our people can't get their jobs. I'm a lucky person, I work 2 minutes from my house. So, we need to look at it all the way around.
Thank you. Ms. Senior, feel free to sit in that low chair if you want.
I know. Many years of riding horses and my knees are gone.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
Thank you.
Next question, we'll start with Mr. Real. Recreation and the role of recreation in the city is a hot button topic for many voters. A twofold question. Please share what is your vision of the role of recreation in the city? And secondly, how would you fund that vision?
My vision for the recreation would be like it was back in, I believe, 09, 08 to 2010, where it was thriving. When we had the football team, the baseball team, the basketball team. I grew up with the recreation. And one thing about the recreation, I will say, in the urban community, sometimes the recreation provides some of the only father figures that these kids know. We see what's happening in Brunswick, Georgia without the recreation. The kids going wild. You got a lot of violence, you got a lot of crime, you got a lot of fighting. We got to get the recreation back, not only for the youth, but for the senior citizens to make it more of a community event. I feel like we do have a loss negotiation coming up, so we got to go to the table, try to negotiate as much as we can get. I propose that we get a stronger code enforcement. They get a code enforcement to go around and start finding some of the homeowners with the dilapidated properties, the ran out properties, the junkyard. Let's get them to clean them up or hit them with a fine. If they pay the fine, at least we get a clean property. If not, we fine them and use that money to go to the general fund to help fund the recreation. I say this a million times, and it's a lot more I need to learn about it, but I feel like we need the recreation by any means necessary. Heard the commissioner say they gave it up a while back. Why did they give it up? What logic did it make for them to give it up? That we go from 300 students to 18. That don't make sense to me. But in my community, the kids are suffering with that. I don't know how it works in their community, but in my community where I grew up and where I live, we need the recreation back, and I propose we do it at all costs. If we got to find people by property, we find them. If they clean it up, they keep the money, at least we got some clean property in Brunswick. But I definitely think we need the recreation back in the city.
Recreation. Is it just park? Is it just sports? No. It's a recreation of energy. I have had the pleasure of volunteering at the Roosevelt Lawrence A Street Rec for many years. I have seen what they have done there. I have seen what Coach Langston Gamble has given to the community with little to nothing. So the Parks and Rec does play a part with the recreation of energy. It plays a part not only for the sports, because not everybody plays sports. We have writers, we have singers, we have artists, we have pottery makers, all people who are waiting for the opportunity to find someone to make that flourish. However, there's a first part that goes with the recreation, parks. It goes into beautifying the city, where this is a place that people want to ride through and come to visit, not only to get to the beaches. So there are grants. We must have a grant writer. We must look into grants to bring to our Parks and Rec. So once we get it back, we can make sure that it is thriving, where people can come and have an opportunity to recreate their energy. Thank you.
Recreations is something that all of us as candidates agree that we absolutely need. I think anyone that has a value for community understands that recreation plays a vital part in holding community together. Of course, recreation is vital for our youth. It strengthens our youth. It shapes our youth. It provides for them a stage to show their uniqueness, so that before they go out into the world, they're able to know how to present themselves. And so there are many things that recreations provide for us, but not only does it meet the need of our youth, recreations historically has been a place that has brought adults together. For me, recreation is a part of what we need in order to unite our community and make sure that we have a vibrant community. So by every means necessary, we need to make sure that we get our recreation back. We know that the loss negotiations are coming up, and there's been a lot of talk about making sure that we get a better share of the loss, so that we're able to govern our community in the way that we need to. And recreations is a part of one of those things that we need to govern. And so I'm in favor of recreations. I believe that even within our community, there are so many who know the need of it, that our community becomes a source of revenue also for our recreations. We've heard the grant writing concept. We know that through negotiations, we have the ability to strengthen our ability to finance recreation. And so as a community, we need to make sure that we do it for the sake of the future of our youth and our community.
Mr.
10 years ago, when I lost negotiations, former mayor and one of our former commissioners went in and basically gave away our recreation department. Gave away traffic and animal control. At that time, the city was getting 35% of the loss. Now we're getting getting 27. Thing that I said that, you know, we definitely need to do is make sure that we negotiate in the loss to get recreation back. But we gotta make sure we get the dollars back with it. We gotta make sure that we do that in a very strategic manner, but at the same time, we gotta understand that there are private partnerships that want to see recreation back in the city. We wanna make sure that we give them an opportunity to be a part of that process so that we can get those dollars, not only just the lost dollars, but private dollars from other individuals and other people and other companies in our community so that we'll be able to fund recreation and make sure that our children, our seniors, and all of our community is able to use the recreation that is provided in this great city. So when we talk about recreation, we can talk about the kids, you know, we can talk about dance, we can talk about all those things. But if you don't have the dollars to put behind it, then it's for naught. Because if we go back to having football teams, where's the equipment gonna come from? How much is that gonna cost? Most of you guys know, and I know most of you know, the cost that it would take to just get that funded for 1 year. So we gotta make sure that we do it in a very respectful manner and a very manner where we, as people, as a city of Brunswick, understand that we gotta do this for our children and for our future.
Ms. Senior?
The recreation department to me is very important. Fine arts, we need fine arts. Why do our kids have to go to St. Simon's? Why do they have to go to Getto for fine arts? Please, I don't understand that. I'm coming from a family of softball players. My daughter played softball, my grandchildren play softball, and it got to the point that the rec departments couldn't offer them anything, so they went to travel teams, and that's what these kids are doing. We offer no golf. There is a program called First Tee Golf that's on St. Simon's. They would come. They would find when I volunteered at BCA to teach be the golf coach. They brought me golf clubs. They offered to help whatever we needed to do. And there are programs out there. There are people out there. Our kids can play golf. They can play whatever they want. But we need to get it back. We need to get it working. We need to have swim teams again. We need to have swimming lessons. We need to have senior exercise programs. I'll join. And you know, so we need all of those kinds of things in our city so that we don't have to travel 1,000,000 miles. Gas is $3 plus a gallon, folks. I don't know about y'all, but you know, I don't waste it, so.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, I'm looking forward to joining the senior citizen workout class. I think, truthfully, Parks and Rec, the first part of that question is, what is it to you? You know, I remember it, I talked about this a little bit earlier in the forum. I remember Miss Wright throwing me in the pool. You know, I remember my mother and my father working down at First African Baptist, maybe with Deacon Amos, and them just being able to tell me to walk down the Highland Car to go to the baseball game, that I was playing with Dominique or Bebe or Franco. You could just walk with them down there. What we lost in that was more than just a rec, more than just sports, more than just the triviality of what we make it. What we lost was community. What we lost was family. What we lost was connections to brothers and sisters and daddies and mamas and aunties and uncles, and we gave all of that up in a lost discussion when we didn't have to. And I'm glad all of the candidates are now talking about the SPLOST discussion and the lost discussion. I'll keep bringing this up. We were the first campaign to talk about it. We were the first campaign to tell very openly to the county and be clear that the 80-20 split was not a split that made sense for SPLOST, and the split that is on LOST is even more unacceptable because that comes around once every 10 years. So I say, when we talk about reaching back to bring back Parks and Recreation, we got to make sure that we are sending in the right person who is prepared to have those discussions, to not say out loud what your discussion points will be or what percentages you're looking for, but to walk into that room, to carry the city on your back, and to know what you have to bring home to get those things done. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
question 4. As you all have spoken tonight and throughout, the issue and concern about diversity is a big one in the society at large, especially, and then even specifically, of course, locally. And so we have found that voices speak out in today's society for diversity. Many believe that diversity leads to greater inclusion and consequently greater progress and community development. Which is more relevant to overall progress, economic diversity or social diversity?
Can we separate the two? Can we separate economic diversity from social diversity? When we think of diversity, we think of black, brown, white, Asian. We think of the blanket. However, if that black, brown, white, Asian person, if they all went to the same school, is that diversity? No. You have the same thought. Diversity is experience. If you take a white CEO and put him in a room with a black janitor and put him in the same room with a woman of color, if you put them in a room with a woman, 2 women, and all of these different experiences, that is diversity. And so when we speak of diversity, we have to stop looking at the blanket. Economic diversity does not speak to the blanket. It speaks to everyone, because everyone deserves economic equity. Social, hold on, wait a minute, diversity. Social diversity speaks to the experiences that you will encounter while you are out in the world. So we cannot separate the two because they are both hand in hand. What we need is diversity in experiences in all of our communities, so we can create economic diversity. Thank you.
That's good. All right, that's tough. In the context of our city, I believe that we can't turn our head to the need for economic diversity. There is an absolute need for equity within our communities. We need to see our share of the wealth. So we hear a lot of people talking about equity. I think the challenge that we face as it relates to equity as a community is that oftentimes we're chasing equity without understanding that equity requires unity. We can deal with things like redlining, the fact that most people that are black and brown don't get a fair shake when they go for loans. But if we give you the loan, but we're not a united community, your business still fails. And so while we have to take seriously the fact that there needs to be economic diversity, it's equally important that on that social end, that there's a strengthening and a unity that undergirds the efforts that we're trying to make. And I'll leave you with this, because I really wanted to stick in our heads. Our organizations, our individuals that get out here and claim to be champions of equity, but have the audacity to tear down your own people, we can never have equity that way, because real equity requires unity. Thank you.
Commission. Equity and equality. Those 2 words that used a lot. Our folks don't realize that with equity, there's got to be opportunity. A lot of times, and I've encountered this so many times, you ask people, say, you know, there's opportunities that the city of Brunswick has for grants, for your business, for this, for that, and they'll say to me, well, why do I got to fill the paperwork out? Why can't you just give it to me? They think that's being equitable. But everybody else fills the paperwork out. I must say, and I must proudly say that I'm proud of Miss Christie here at Lady K's. On yesterday, she came before the Finance Committee asking for some assistance. We were able to do that because we're trying to make sure that everybody has the same opportunity. We want her to keep her business open.
Yeah.
She had to move in the middle of a pandemic. That's kind of hard to do. But she did it successfully, and guess what? We want to make sure that she stays open in this community. And that's what equity and equality is all about.
Here's another question. Equity, we need the jobs. We need our community to have more businesses come into our city, to give people jobs so that they feel better about themselves and they raise up and not saying, well, this person has this and this person has that, and you know, I'm sorry, my thoughts just aren't very clear on this. It's like if I drive a Cadillac and you drive a Volkswagen, you know, everybody wants to be on the same page, but I would be that one driving the Volkswagen because it's a classic and that would be cool for me. But the, I'm sorry, I'm just, my mind is going a mile a minute, but I keep going back to our community and I keep thinking we need jobs, we need opportunities in our government, in our city, for people to get a stepping stone, for those folks who don't have college degrees and don't have great living conditions. Give them a job. You know, you don't have to pay them $1 million, but give them an opportunity to step out. And then their lives will come together, their children's lives will come together, and we'll be a better community.
I think this is such an interesting question. Thank you guys for it. Because I think I've heard everyone, and I think the proposition that they have set up has been an either or, a versus kind of setup. What I truly believe is that it's more of a cause and effect relationship than a versus relationship. I believe social diversity. I believe diversity and inclusion. I believe diversity of thought. I believe diversity of culture. I believe diversity of minds, all in the same room, create the economic growth and the economic diversity that we seek in our community. I want to be honest, it was amazing to be able to work in Atlanta on not only repealing citizens arrest, but also making sure we passed a hate crime statute for which Georgia was the last of 3 states to have it actually be done. And what I figured out is in crafting the legislation and working with people around the nation, but also right here in this state, you saw not only the Anti-Defamation League, which is the Jewish community. You saw the NAACP standing right next to us. And in the midst of that, you saw people like Don Hogan and Sheila McNeil, and out of all of those meetings with people who were black, white, different religious, different ages at the table, I think that diversity came together and created the best product that we see that came out of those pieces of legislation. So when I think about Brunswick, when I think about us building the economic future that we want, we don't build that economic future unless every single one of us is at the table. And not at the table just for the sake of having a black person at the table or this person at the table, but because your voice, your thought, and your experience matter in making the city that we want.
Mr. Riddle? Before I came in here, I prayed. I prayed. I need it. But I can't do nothing but speak my mind. I'm gonna gain some people and I'm gonna lose some people. But diversity. We need a mayor as well as commissioners that are gonna allow diversity to happen. We have commissioners that's stopping their own people from allowing the opportunity to have economical growth. We have commissioners that have fruit stands with no license, no permit, no paperwork on record for their business, but yet you will get up there line other commissioners of the mayor and vote against somebody that wanna have an opportunity in the same field that you're manipulating. But then you speak and say that you have an open door policy. Brunswick, we cannot allow to continue to put people in a position like this. I heard Gary Cook say it, and I heard it for myself. A commissioner say we have to go against the charter. Why? When your friends, your church member come before you, then you adjust it. We can't allow that. We need everybody to have the same equal opportunity to grow. This is why Brunswick is where it at. We've taken away opportunity in our community, sending our kids out there to do the illegal stuff. While you making a living with your fruit stand, but you vote against other people trying to have the same opportunity that you give your family. That's not leadership, that's not fair. Let's talk about economic growth for everybody. Not for the good old boy system, not for your church members, and not for your friends. We want everybody. Cook deserve it. You deserve it. Just like you deserve it. But make sure everybody getting what you getting too. We got to allow economic development and growth for everybody. We cannot go against our own kind of poke our chest out and act up. But when somebody with another race should cower down and poke chicken, we cannot continue to do that. We need a mayor that's going to stand up to the commission that sit beside and allow this to happen. No, if I'm the mayor, I'm going to address it right there in front of the camera like I'm doing now. We cannot continue to put people in a position like this, then they get up here and change their mind in front of y'all. I pray.
Thank you, Mr. Riddle. At this time, because of time constraints, we would want to go. We have a lot of questions. I think he has great questions. But meanwhile, because of the size of the candidates, the candidate pool, we'll have to cut it at this point. What we'll do now is go into the basic summations of your positions. At that time, you can, talk about any topic, summarize how you want to, and address whatever concerns you have, rebut, however. So each person will have 2 minutes. We'll start with Mr. Perry. Yes.
I want to thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to share with you all on tonight. In these kind of environments, we're kind of forced to talk about our differences. But I started out on tonight in what I think is going to be the last forum, in honestly saying that I believe that all of these candidates bring leadership skill. That's unquestionable. But as I stated before, I believe that I am the candidate with the ability to bring our community together. I've never tried to pride myself on being the smartest guy in the room. I believe that I have some intelligence, and yet that's not my claim to fame. I do pride myself on being humble enough to understand that to build a city is bigger than one person, that it takes community to build our city. And that within our community, we have the skill sets, the talents, the abilities, the people with the relationship pools that it's going to take in order for us to be the city that we all know that we have an opportunity to be. But I will continue to herald the same message, and that is that in order to build our city, we have to bring our community together. And I am the leader to do that. And so I'm encouraging you to vote Perry come November the 2nd. You still have until Friday to vote if you want to get in there before November the 2nd. But I want to encourage you to go to the polls, vote John Perry as your next mayor. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm going to address a couple of things just real quickly. If you want to check, I do have a business license. I pay for it every year, just like everybody else does. I will never show favoritism to anyone. As a commissioner, as a mayor, anything that I do, and those of you that know me, bottom line is, there's a law. And the law says da-da-da-da-da, and William does according to the law. Won't break the law, because I don't want to go to jail. Again, all of us have our differences, all of us have things in common, all of us come from the same city. At the end of the day, when this election is over, and I've said this and I'll say it again, win, lose, or draw, I'll still be here in this city. I'll still be working for this city. It doesn't, whether I'm the mayor or whether I'm at home as a citizen just like city appoints, the commission appoints to. Did that for several years. We'll continue to do it if that's what God has me to go. All I ask you to do is go to the polls and vote. Vote your conviction, vote your heart. Vote for the person that you feel will best serve you as mayor of this city. God bless you.
I'm honored to be among these folks right here. They're all fine individuals, and I think any of us would make an excellent mayor. I will work hard for this city. I will be your voice. But the most important thing I want to say today, with all the things that I believe in and a lot of the same that these folks believe in, please get out and vote. Vote for your candidate. I would love for you to vote for me, but vote for your candidate, and we can make a difference in our city. If we don't vote, we might as well just stay home. So, and just not even care.
I want to, first off, again, thank you to the Omega Psi Phi fraternity for putting this on and having us. Thank you to everyone who's participated in the forum, the North Board candidates as well, for you all coming out. This is an important time in our city, and not just because of the lost discussions, because they come around once every 10 years, not just because of SPLOST discussions, not because of getting the rec back or even infrastructure. It's an important time in our city because it matters that we come together. Not only do we come together, but we build a real plan that all of us can work towards. What I'll be honest about, and I've heard it so many times, is that this is a weak mayoral system. I'm only one vote. Well, I tell you, it is incumbent upon the mayor as the leader of your city to work with commissioners to build out the vision that you set forth. And once you build out the vision that you set forth, then it's incumbent upon us to take that vision to the city manager and work with the city manager, not just give it to the city manager to get done, not just say it's her job, but to work along with her to make sure it gets done. That's the type of work it will take to change the city. I started on the grounds of First African Baptist Church, and I started on that ground because it's where 2 or 3 slaves came together to build an edifice that stands to this day. The reason that story is so important to me is because it shows the biblical principle that where 2 or 3 are gathered together, there he is also. And what I can tell you is that we come together and we link arms as an entire community and we build out a plan and we start to walk and move in that plan, there's no telling what we can achieve. I ask you to vote Cosby Johnson for mayor on November 2nd, and I look forward to being your mayor.
All right, guys, I definitely say research Brunswick in the last year. And so look at the candidates up here. I learned a lot from a lot of people up here. Guys, we got to stop asking the candidates, what are we going to do? Everybody's saying, what are we going to do? But nobody asks the question, what have we done for this community? What somebody have already done is what they're going to continue doing. I came home, I brought jobs to the community. I brought after-school programs to the community. My restaurant after 4 o'clock, you see little kids using the Wi-Fi, eating French fries, doing their homework. I know people need that. I want to be the person that go talk with some of these churches. So the churches that just churching on 1 day a week. Let's open up some of these churches so the kids can have places to go to use Wi-Fi and have tutoring. Let's build our community from the ground up. Guys, back in the days, Grandma said take a village to raise kids. Now we let the internet raise our kids. We got kids that only listen to their parent. What candidate is out here with these kids every day? I challenge you to go home. The kid play football, baseball, basketball. Ask them to name somebody on this forum. They know who out there with them. Guys, I came up out of poverty, and I got to a position in my life that my mama and my dad is spoiled. My sons, they both spoiled. They still work for what they want. But I'm in a place I never dreamed I thought I'd be. So I want to come back home and bring more people to that same place that I am. A lot of people love it, a lot of people don't like it. But again, I don't want nobody to have to be given a fish. I want people to have a fishing pole. I want to see people working over welfare. I want to see people rental turn into homeowners. I want to see people be more financially independent on themselves. We gotta get to the point in our mind that we recirculate our money in our community, economic growth. Guys, I've been doing it my whole life. I've really been stepping out this last year, and everything I do is with everyone. It's not one diverse group of people. It's not one sex of people, but it's everybody. Vote Travis Riddle for mayor.
I have no opposition. I have no physical opponent that sits up here with me. I have had the opportunity to go to summer camp with one of my candidates. I've had the opportunity to go into the offices of some of my candidates. I've had the opportunity to tell some of my candidates how I really felt. So I have no opponent that is physical. My opposition is the systems that are keeping us in a place of economic irrelevance. All of us. We all need to benefit from this city, as the city has been benefiting from all of us. I cannot make you any promises, but only one. I am willing to serve because my track record speaks of service. If you Google me, if you look me up, please see how I voted. Please see the places that I have helped. Some are listed, some are not. However, my name is a part of this community for my service. I am willing to serve the people of this community and be an ear to those who want to help me in leadership in this city. I thank you so much. I ask that on November 2nd, you vote Helen Watson for your mayor. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you so much. All right, let's give all of our candidates applause. That pretty much concludes everything. I wish we had a lot more questions and everything, but I wish that we could have presented it, who knows, maybe in the near future. But with that said, it's a big deal. I know Dr. Martin Luther King had this speech called Call to Service. So that's what they are doing. They heard the call, the voices, and now this is what they're doing. They're coming and listening to that call from the voices of the people. I would like to first and foremost thank Lady K's, Ms. Crispy, as we open up saying that this is just, it is a business, but it's just not any kind of business. It's what we need more too, and some of the candidates have spoken to it. It's a black-owned business as well, and more specifically a female. So a black female, so it's a big deal, you know, so let's give her applause. In closing, thank the brothers of Mid-Soul, specifically Omega Psi Phi, for putting this on. I'd like to thank them, and the brothers are here, and you all talk to them throughout and everything. And please, just vote. And I want to say this in closing about voting, and we have to keep this in perspective. The right to vote is so relevant, so important in our society that I know this is a fact from my previous career, that you can be arrested, convicted as a felon, go to prison, and they will take that right to vote away. And in some states, Georgia is one of them, it's modified somewhat. Florida and other states, they never return the right to vote. But then they'll let you can murder someone, commit a crime of murder, and then they'll allow you to make as much money as you can, but they won't let you vote. So that should tell you something in that one quick example, how important the right to vote is. So please, you all, go out there, exercise that right to vote, because it's so important. It's your voice. If you don't vote, you're not American. You're not a United States citizen. So that's it. That tells us a lot. So that sums up everything. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all, contributing your thoughts and minds and just participating in our first activity. Brother Rhines.
Yes, I would like to say to each of you, I want to thank everybody for coming out. And I go across this area, and I'm from Valdosta, Georgia, and I'm here. Tonight's forum, if you will, is live on Facebook. And if you want to visit Facebook, and if you want to help yourself maybe to get some votes, you may want to take and share it to people who have not voted, and it may help you out. But if we don't share it, well, it might just be a waste of time. Y'all have a good night. I want to appreciate my brother and all of my sisters, and I thank God for you who are care enough to make a difference.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I got your card. I got one.
Please. Start it,